Hello, thank you for joining me here in this discussion about meditation. What meditation is and why would we want to do it? Well, meditation is a practice that has actually been used for thousands of years. It's an ancient practice that, well, it's been something that most religions have used to some degree or another. It's an ancient practice of getting to know the deepest parts of yourself. And what we're starting to see is that it's gaining a huge popularity in the mainstream because science has really proven many of the benefits for our minds, our emotions, and our physical body, where studies are proving mindfulness-based practices reduce stress, anxiety, can help with things like depression, can really improve sleep issues. And these are some of the really just minor symptoms of some of the most profound experiences that are possible through meditation. I'd like to say that it's interesting how we approach something like meditation. It's unlike most things that we approach in life. I think in society there's a lot of energy put towards success and being good at something. And meditation can be an interesting one because actually, because of this mindset, many people can be put off. Because you sit for meditation, particularly in the beginning, and we notice just how busy our mind is. And we have this image of having blissful serenity with no thoughts at all. And I'd just like to speak to that a little bit, that actually this isn't the case. Rather than being good at meditation, it's more that meditation is really good. And it's not really about how you are performing, but really the process. It's like this alchemical process that allows you to get to know much deeper layers of yourself. And just like if we decide one day, wow, I really need to get fit, I haven't exercised in a long time. When you first start to exercise, you see a lot of difference in how your body responds. Often you can lose a lot of weight quite quickly or gain muscles quite quickly when you first start out. And that being said, it can also be very, very hard. You find it a lot harder when you haven't done it for a while. But this can be the same for meditation. So whilst it seems like you're not doing it right, there's so many busy thoughts, actually this is a really juicy time in meditation. For one thing, for me personally, I realize just how many thoughts I have, and just how many of them are absolutely pointless. And so just in that process, I started to realize that maybe everything I think isn't that important. Maybe it's not all true. And I think this can be a problem in society, is that many of us really feel like what we think is true. And then we argue it to the very core. When if we realize that perhaps, there are many truths, and we identify with a deeper part of ourselves than just our mind, or our body or our emotions, then we have this deeper core that we are coming from and meeting the world. It's like in life, we often think happiness comes from outside events or possessing things or relationships that we have. And we do experience happiness through these things. What I feel meditation shows us is there is a deeper happiness, a more unshakable contentment that's possible. And this is beautiful. If we're not dependent on other people or events in our life to be our source of happiness, life can be a lot more fun. One of my teachers spoke to me about this and likened it to like a pendulum swinging. And there's like happiness over here. I just got new shoes, yay, happy! And then it often swings equal measure back the other way. Oh no, I just scratched my new shoes. Oh no, yay, happy, sad. And often we can go through life like this, being at the end of this pendulum. What I've come to understand is that meditation allows you to move from the either end of this pendulum, and move closer to the middle. And then just through this process of observation, not by being good at meditation, just the process of sitting to meditate allows us to become more of an observer. And so we move up the central channel of this pendulum, and the pendulum still swings because life still happens. But instead of being identified or your happiness being dependent or not on what happens, you can witness it from up here and be in a place of like, oh, isn't that interesting? And what this does, this allows you to have more spaciousness. It doesn't mean everything in life will be easy, but it gives you that spaciousness to, instead of react like, oh no, how could that happen to me? you can look at these things, and not in a detached way. You're still very much a part of life, but you can approach it like, oh, isn't that interesting? Oh wow, this is really interesting. And instead of reacting straight away to how could this happen to me, we can respond. And as I've said several times, we can't necessarily control what happens around us, but what we do have power over is how we respond to life. And the way we respond to life then creates this dance. If we respond in a more spacious, kind, open way, it's more likely that life will respond to us in a more enjoyable way. We won't get caught in a swirl of an argument of who's right or wrong. It gives space for more loving relationships with people and with life in general. Through this process of meditation, we get to feel into more subtle layers of our being. So whether you can only feel your body when you hold it like this, Or can you bring your awareness to feel the circulation in your body? You can become aware of other layers. Notice like what is happening in your emotional body. So then instead of suppressing things as if everything's fine, just fine, we can be more aware like, oh, yeah, that I feel sadness here, and we can allow the emotions to flow through more healthily. You can become ever more finely tuned to these sensitive layers of your being, including your energy. And you can do this now just by bringing your awareness to your hands, by just thinking about your hands, placing all of your awareness here. It can be very interesting if you're doing this now with me, whether you feel any tingling sensation, a shift in temperature, or a movement of energy, how it feels when you put them close to each other. More than this, it's like we can identify with a deeper layer of our being. So where do our thoughts come from, for example? When we observe our thoughts, they have to come from somewhere. And a great analogy I was once told that it's like the infinite mind, this huge cosmic ocean, is where your thoughts come from, and your thoughts are just like dolphins jumping out of the sea. What can happen if we're not aware of how our thoughts happen is sometimes we give these dolphins wings, and they can be thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'll never be good enough, and then you can give these dolphins wings so they never go back, they just keep on this pattern of thought. Or you can just let them drop back into that ocean, and then another thought, oh, drop back into the ocean. And then instead of creating a pattern of, it could be negative self-talk or thoughts which can create anger or more separation with the world around you, you can allow them to drop back into the ocean. So it's not that we're stopping the thoughts, it's just we're realizing where they come from. And so they hold less power over us. And we can begin to use our thoughts or cultivate thoughts which can create a more beautiful life, a life of your choosing. Many of the thoughts that we have are actually not our thoughts at all. They could be conditioned upon us by parents, schooling, society, the media. And so by meditating, we begin this process of creating a freedom of your own will, or connecting this will at least to a higher aspect of yourself. Another great analogy is that if you think of yourself like a tree, you could either be identified with the leaves. Here's a big one here. But if you're just one of the leaves on the tree and the wind comes through, there's a storm, you can get bashed around. And through meditating, instead of being at the outer tentacles of this tree, the leaves, you could come more into the trunk, into your center. There's more stability there. you can go deeper still, and there are many layers to our being, and it's such a beautiful exploration where we then connect with the roots, and the roots are always connected to something bigger than themselves. How beautiful. They're never alone, and always being nourished by this connection to something bigger than themselves. And so it's not that we forget to be the leaf or the trunk, it's that we can connect with all the aspects of our being, the deeper layers as well. And so, as I said at the beginning, I don't think meditation is at all about expectations, achieving anything at all. But some of the possibilities, really, they lie in just the process. It's not about being a superhero champion meditator of the world. It's an intimate exploration of your true nature. So if you have any questions about meditation, feel free to type away or get in touch. It can be helpful sometimes to listen to guided meditations, and I will leave the link to some of the guided meditations, the free meditations, on our website. And I encourage you to enjoy it, consider it the beautiful gift that it is for yourself, as well as all the people around you. Wishing you peace, joy, and contentment.